My brother slept with my girlfriend, then got her pregnant and moved into my apartment. My parents called it a family misunderstanding, so I let them settle in and sent one email that got them all evicted. My name's Alex. I'm 27, live in a small city, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had things pretty well figured out. Nothing flashy. I wasn't rich, wasn't brilliant, but I was solid. I paid my bills on time. I showed up for people. I worked as a logistics coordinator at a freight company, steady job, decent hours. And I had a girlfriend, Lisa, who I genuinely thought I'd build a life with. We'd been together 2 years. She was finishing nursing school and struggling to juggle classes, clinicals, and her part-time job at a pharmacy. So, I offered to help. I picked up groceries, handled rent most months, even covered her phone bill. It wasn't because she asked. I just figured, you help the person you love, right? Everything felt normal, familiar, comfortable, until my younger brother Tyler came into the picture. He was 24, between jobs, freshly dumped, and had burned bridges with our parents after his last stunt, which, if I'm being honest, wasn't his first. He asked if he could crash with me for a couple weeks. I didn't think twice. He was my brother. We shared bunk beds growing up. I figured he just needed a place to breathe. Lisa wasn't thrilled at first, but she warmed up to the idea, maybe too quickly. It started small. Tyler would sit a little too close to her on the couch. They'd laugh at inside jokes I didn't remember being part of. One night I came home from work and found them cooking together, just the two of them. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to sound paranoid. But things kept stacking up. Lisa became colder, distant, less affectionate. She said she was just tired from school, that she needed space to study. Tyler, on the other hand, was thriving. He'd use my PlayStation for hours, invite friends over without asking, drink my beer, eat my food, and still act like he was doing me a favor by not being out on the street. I chalked it up to stress. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was leaving my laptop unlocked one night. It was a Friday. I got home from work around 7 p.m., exhausted. Lisa and Tyler were on the balcony, talking in hushed voices. I walked in, dropped my bag, and sat down at my desk to check my email. That's when I saw it. My iMessages had synced to my Mac. One thread stood out. Lisa's name. A message from 2 hours earlier. He has no clue. He still thinks I'm just stressed from classes. Another followed. Don't worry. We'll tell him after the next appointment. I scrolled up. My stomach twisted tighter with every line. There it was, full conversations. Plans. Her telling Tyler she was scared but excited. Him joking about baby names, her calling him babe. And the part that punched me right in the lungs. He's good for now. Let him keep paying the bills until we're ready. I didn't say a word. I just closed the laptop, got up, and walked onto the balcony. Lisa looked up at me. Tyler barely glanced away from his phone. You pregnant? I asked. Silence. Lisa blinked. Tyler looked up, caught off guard. You are, aren't you? I repeated. Still nothing. I read the messages. I said, you're pregnant. With his kid. That's when Lisa finally said something. Not an apology. Not an explanation. It just happened. Tyler muttered something like, we didn't mean to hurt you. Lisa looked down at her hands. We didn't plan this. I stood there, looking at both of them. My girlfriend. My brother. In my apartment. Living off my paycheck. With my groceries in the fridge and my internet powering their late-night chats. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just turned around and walked back inside. Get out, I said. They didn't move. I said, get out. Tyler laughed under his breath. Where are we supposed to go? Not my problem. Lisa crossed her arms. I'm pregnant. And I snapped. That makes it worse, not better. That night, I packed a duffel bag and went to stay at my buddy Jared's place. He offered his couch, no questions asked. I didn't sleep much. Just lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to wrap my head around how fast everything had collapsed. 2 years with Lisa. A lifetime with Tyler. And now, both of them were tangled together behind my back. The next day, I called my parents. Told them everything. Expected at least one of them to be furious on my behalf. Instead, I got the worst response possible. Try not to overreact. I blinked. Overreact. It's complicated, my mom said. Tyler made a mistake. That's not a mistake, I said. That's betrayal. He's your brother, my dad added. And Lisa's still young. Things happen. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She's pregnant with my brother's kid, I said slowly. And you want me to what? Send them a fruit basket? We just don't want to lose the family over something emotional, my mom said. I hung up without another word. 3 days later, I got a notification on my building's app. Delivery left at unit door. Confused, I called Jared, thinking maybe I'd ordered something and forgot. But something didn't sit right. So I drove back to my apartment. And that's when I saw it. Tyler and Lisa. At my door. With moving boxes. They'd moved in. Not just staying there, but moved in. Lisa had unpacked. Tyler had set up a gaming chair. There was a baby bassinet in the corner of the living room. My name was still on the lease. My name on the bills. My food still in the fridge. My home turned into a nursery for my brother's baby with my girlfriend. I didn't go inside. I just stood there, heart pounding, while Tyler spotted me through the peephole and had the audacity to smirk. I walked back to my car. Didn't scream. Didn't knock. Didn't confront them. I just sat in the driver's seat, took out my phone, and opened my notes. I typed one sentence. You both moved in. Good. Settle in. This will make everything easier. I closed the app, and that's when the revenge started writing itself. They treated my silence as surrender. Lisa messaged me the next morning like nothing had happened. We're only staying until we get things figured out. Just a few weeks. She even had the gall to end it with a heart emoji. I didn't respond. 2 hours later, Tyler texted me. Chill out, bro. We'll take care of the place. You still got Jared's couch, right? No apology. No rent offer. Just the smug entitlement of someone who thought they'd won. I called the leasing office that afternoon. Explained what had happened. How I hadn't authorized anyone to live there. How I'd been blindsided by both of them taking up residence in my apartment. The woman on the phone was sympathetic, but firm. As long as your name's on the lease and the rent's paid, it's not technically a violation. Unless they cause property damage or there's criminal activity, there's not much we can intervene on. But I didn't let them move in, I said. I understand. But unless you file for an official subletting violation, they're considered guests. If you want them out, you'd need to go through a formal eviction process. Or, she added quietly, find leverage. That word stuck in my mind. Leverage. That night, I went back, not to fight, but to collect what was mine. I knocked. Tyler opened the door like he owned the place. Lisa was on the couch in my hoodie, watching a show on my Netflix account. I walked in without saying a word. Packed up my external hard drives, my documents, my birth certificate, tax records, anything I might need if things got uglier. While I worked, Lisa had the nerve to say, we really didn't mean for it to happen like this. I didn't look at her. I just unplugged my Wi-Fi router. What are you doing? Tyler asked. Disconnecting my service. This account's under my name. You want internet? Get your own. He scoffed. Wow. Real mature. I left without another word. Over the next few days, I quietly gathered information. First, utilities. They were all under my name. I canceled every single one. I filed a change of address. Electricity, water, gas, even the trash pickup gone. A week later, Lisa texted me. Water got shut off. Is this your way of punishing us? I still didn't answer. Second, the Amazon account. Lisa had access to it from when we lived together. I checked the purchase history. She'd ordered baby clothes, a diaper bin, a $700 stroller, all charged to my credit card. I froze the card, filed a fraud report with the bank, changed the account email and password, replaced the card with a new one. Third, my employment records. This is where things got interesting. One day, I received a voicemail from a man at a marketing company. He asked if I could confirm Tyler's current position and salary. I was confused, then realized what had happened. Tyler had used me as a reference. I called back, pretending to be surprised. Told the HR rep I hadn't worked with Tyler in any capacity and never authorized him to use my contact info. The man paused. He listed you as a supervisor at a logistics firm? He's never worked a day in logistics, I said. Got it. Thanks for clarifying. I didn't hear back after that. Tyler's fake reference? Dead. But the real gem came a week later. Lisa had left a folder on the hallway table the night I came to grab my documents. I'd seen it, ignored it, but something kept bugging me about it. So the next time I went over under the pretense of grabbing the last of my clothes, I checked it. Inside were financial aid forms, copies of her FAFSA application, letters from her school's bursar's office. And this is the part that nearly made me laugh. A section listing my income and address as shared partner support. She'd lied to qualify for more aid. She was receiving increased assistance because the school believed we were still together and sharing a household. So not only had she cheated and moved into my place, she'd used our former relationship to illegally boost her tuition aid. That night, I sat down and started making a spreadsheet. Names, dates, screenshots, PDFs, bank statements, messages. I wasn't building a revenge plan. I was building a case. Because this wasn't about getting even anymore. It was about taking back control, not just of my apartment, but of my name. I wanted them both out, not just of my space, but of any illusion that they could walk away clean. The old version of me, the one that would have shouted, slammed doors, demanded answers, he was gone. This version, he just kept receipts. A week after I'd frozen the credit card and shut off the utilities, my parents called again. This time it was a conference call. That alone told me it wasn't going to be a conversation. It was going to be a performance. My mom started with a sigh. Alex, honey, we need to talk like adults. I've been doing that from the beginning, I said flatly. My dad cut in. Look, we get that you're upset, but Lisa's pregnant. Tyler's trying to step up. Maybe it's time you stopped clinging to this grudge. Grudge? I repeated. You mean the part where they betrayed me under my roof, with my money, and now live in my apartment like they earned it? They didn't mean to hurt you, Mom said, as if saying it again would make it true. It's a complicated situation, and you're making it worse by being vindictive. I didn't respond. I just listened, because that's all I needed to do now, listen and take notes. Every time they spoke, they gave me more to work with. At one point, my mom said, if it bothers you so much, why not just give them the apartment? Start fresh somewhere else. I held the phone away from my face and stared at it like it had grown horns. Give them the apartment? Give Tyler the place I'd worked for, paid for, built my life inside. That's when I realized something important. None of them thought I would fight back. They thought I was too reasonable, too soft, that I'd eventually let it go. So I started quietly accelerating everything. I took the FAFSA paperwork she'd left and scanned every page. I made copies, attached a statement listing the timeline of when we'd broken up and how she'd falsely claimed we were still cohabiting in order to qualify for additional aid. I emailed it, anonymously, from a new burner address to her university's Office of Financial Aid. No insults, no drama, just the facts. She listed an address and cohabiting partner after our breakup. She claimed shared income from a partner no longer supporting her. She continued using an address she was not paying rent on. I attached a copy of the lease showing only my name, and a bank statement proving all rent and utilities had been in my name alone. 3 days later, I got a text from Lisa. Did you seriously report me to the school? They put my aid on hold. What the hell is wrong with you? I didn't answer. Next came Tyler. He'd bragged to one of our cousins over text about scoring a job interview with a startup downtown, some flashy tech internship with the promise of full-time work. He told him he finessed it by name-dropping my job, using my LinkedIn as a template. I checked the company's website. Small firm. Startup vibe. Probably no background check department. Perfect. I wrote an email from my real address this time to their HR contact. Simple, polite, direct. Hello. I'm writing to clarify a potential misrepresentation. It has come to my attention that Tyler, last name, listed me as a professional reference, claiming I was his supervisor in logistics. For the record, Tyler has never worked in logistics, nor has he reported to me in any capacity. I take professional integrity seriously and wanted to ensure no misinformation was influencing your hiring decisions. I attached a screenshot of Tyler's message to our cousin. Used Alex's job. They think I work logistics. Easy win. 2 days later, Tyler posted a vague rant on social media about haters trying to ruin opportunities, then deleted it. I knew what that meant. I followed up my bank's fraud claim with a formal police report. No one was getting arrested. I wasn't pushing it that far, but I wanted a paper trail. I listed each transaction Lisa had made on my card without permission after our breakup. Diapers, baby monitor, prenatal vitamins, books on parenting. She'd spent nearly $1,800 in total. Enough to matter in court. I filed the paperwork for small claims. Nothing dramatic. Just dates, receipts, and my statement. Her name was listed under defendant. A court date was set. The final piece was the lease. I didn't want them evicted too early. That would end things too quickly. I wanted them to feel safe first, settled, like this was their new normal. So I waited until they were completely reliant. Then I wrote the landlord a formal complaint. I outlined how Tyler had moved in without permission, brought another occupant, Lisa, damaged property. There was now a huge scratch on the hardwood floor, documented with time-stamped photos, and hadn't paid a cent in utilities. I also mentioned how Lisa had listed the address for tuition fraud, stating that if any agency investigated the unit, it could reflect poorly on the management. The landlord replied within hours. Thank you for your detailed information. I'll be sending an inspection team next week. I forwarded that email to my own account. Kept the paper trail. Then I waited. Right around that time, my mom insisted we do a family dinner. We just need to clear the air, she said. No drama. No fighting. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Because I had one last thing to gather. At the dinner, Tyler said he'd finally heard back from a company he'd interviewed with. Lisa said her financial aid should be sorted out soon. Both looked smug. They thought they'd gotten away with it. My mom smiled like she'd fixed everything. And I just sat there, quiet, watching them talk about moving forward. They had no idea what I'd already set in motion. They had no idea I had documents, recordings, emails, and now confirmation of a legal residence from the landlord. The last thing I said before leaving the restaurant was, "You two should enjoy this while it lasts." Lisa laughed. Tyler raised an eyebrow. My mom tried to guilt me again, but I didn't hear her words. Because all I could think about was the timing. The court date was now 10 days away. The financial aid review was in progress. The landlord's inspection was scheduled for Tuesday. And when all three hit, they wouldn't be able to gaslight their way out. They'd have to face consequences not just from me, but from people they couldn't manipulate. The landlord's inspection landed first. I wasn't home for it. I didn't need to be. I'd already provided them with everything. Time-stamped photos, camera footage from the hallway showing Tyler and Lisa hauling in furniture without my knowledge, screenshots of texts proving they'd been living there without authorization. The inspector left a note on the door. Unapproved occupants. Lease violation. Follow-up required. The next day, Tyler texted me. Did you rat us out to the landlord? What the hell, man? I didn't answer. Then came the letter. Certified mail. A formal notice to cure or quit. It gave them 14 days to vacate or face legal proceedings for lease fraud and damages. They didn't leave immediately. Of course they didn't. They thought they could bluff it out. Tyler called our parents. They called me. My dad said, "You really want your pregnant ex and your own brother homeless?" I didn't respond to that either. Because the eviction notice was just a ripple. The second hit came from Lisa's school. Apparently, the financial aid office didn't just suspend her tuition package. They launched a full review. One of the documents she'd submitted, listing me as a cohabiting financial partner, included a forged signature. Mine. That crossed a line from aid fraud into potential criminal action. Lisa called me 4 times in a row that day. I let them all go to voicemail. She didn't leave a message. By then, her school had suspended her enrollment pending investigation. She would miss the remainder of the semester. No aid, no license, no graduation. I didn't need to say a word. And Tyler? He still thought he was in the clear. Until the email from his internship HR rep arrived. He hadn't lost just one opportunity. After I'd outed his fake reference to the first firm, I'd followed up with the state licensing board his new employer required him to register with. I flagged his forged employment history and sent corroborating evidence, texts, social media posts, and the HR transcript I'd managed to get through a friend who worked in recruiting. The message I got back was brief but sharp. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. He will not be moving forward in the selection process. It hit him 2 days before his scheduled orientation. Tyler exploded on social media again. Another vague rant about snakes in the family. Another post deleted after a few hours. But it was over. 3 systems, his housing, her education, his job pipeline, all gone. And all I had done was pull back the curtain. I didn't frame them. I didn't twist facts. I didn't lie. I simply showed people who they really were. One night, about a week later, I drove by the apartment. I hadn't gone back since the inspection. I'd been staying at Jared's, quietly letting the dust settle. But curiosity got the better of me. I parked down the street and walked the block. When I rounded the corner, I saw them. Lisa, sitting on the steps, head in her hands. Tyler, pacing with a cigarette, yelling into his phone, probably our mom. There were bags piled on the sidewalk. The stroller was flipped over. A cracked baby monitor in a plastic bin. A pair of boots I'd bought still sitting in their original box. Everything they'd tried to build, on lies, manipulation, and stolen kindness, now dumped outside a building that no longer wanted them. They didn't see me. I just stood across the street for a moment, watching, not smug, not victorious, just calm. Then I turned around and walked back the way I came. A few days later, I met with a property manager for a new apartment. Fresh place, clean slate, no shared memories, no ghosts. He asked for references. I handed over documents. Good credit, solid employment, no rental history issues. While he skimmed my file, he said, "Seems like you're the kind of tenant we won't have to worry about." I smiled a little. That's the idea. The court date for the credit card charges arrived the next week. Lisa showed up looking like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't even try to argue. The judge reviewed the purchases, the timeline of our breakup, and my bank statements. Judgment in my favor. She had 30 days to repay me or face collections. I didn't celebrate. I didn't look at her. She didn't look at me either. Tyler wasn't there. Figures. The last contact I ever had with either of them was a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note. I hope this was worth it. You destroyed your family. I folded the letter once, placed it in a drawer, and never touched it again. Because what they never understood, and maybe still don't, is that they destroyed it first. I just stopped pretending otherwise. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.